Sir, yes, sir. Good evening, sir. Very good evening.
I think only one student is there in the class.
Yes, sir.
You can go ahead. Anyhow, we are the nodal regional center. These recorded videos also we will upload in our RC YouTube channel.
Okay,
There
okay.
is only 4 students, of which
Okay, sir.
only one is attending. Means you can go ahead with the session.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Definitely, sir.
Yeah, please, please. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you for giving this opportunity, sir. Well, good evening, respected sir. Good evening, students. I am Srinu. Today we are going to explain about the policies. Main thing here, there is a agriculture policy that is present in agriculture policy. I think that policy that made for only agriculture purposes. In that first lesson, we are going to discuss so nothing but agriculture policy formulations and components implementation and comparative analysis. In that, we are going to discuss today introduction part. That is very important thing. In that introduction part, mainly we can we will discuss agriculture policies that in present in India. That is the introduction part. And next one is agriculture sector goals and policy options. And third thing is process of policy formulations in agriculture. So that PDF look like this, and this is the followed by, and I can do it in an as simple as it. And now we'll move on to the first one is agriculture policy in India. Before we go into the actual concept, why we need to that India or government of India started these policies before 1960s or 55 before. There is a one thing happened in India, and before 60s, that is a food shortages. Severe food shortages occur in this time that one person came into picture, that MS Swaminathan, and starting high yielding varieties which was boost the food grain production or increase the food grain production. I repeat again, before 1960 there is a huge shortage of food, and one person that came into picture, and he will suggest suggested some policies to increase the food grain production. And that's included, that programs included like side measures reforms of the present things, and improving the farm technologies, and price support to the and purchase price support to the farmers, and credit access for the cultivation practices, and credit that will give to infrastructure development, and market interventions, and food procurements and public distributions. So that policy mainly used for these things. Again, I stressed these things: reforms, land reforms, and farm technology improvements, and price support, credit access, and infrastructure development, and market interventions, and food procurement, and public distribution system. Through these policies, the government of India will increase the food production by scientists, extensive workers, progressive farmers. These are the three persons generally which were with these persons responsible for the food grain production or increasing the food grain production in India. That thing, the one revolution we can call it as green revolution that was started by MS Swaminathan in 1960s. The green revolution, the main aim of this green revolution to achieve self-sufficiency food. That means that food production increases within our boundaries, our India boundaries, and which leads to decreasing the food shortage. And another thing that today's agriculture faces new challenges apart from the last time that that concept 1960s there is a green revolution and introduction of new technologies and introduction of high yielding varieties hybrids. These are the things actually happen to increase the food production. Apart from that, now some other new challenges faced by the government actually, that slowing productivity and rising input cost and market volatility, which means the prices change changes according to time and place. These things happen due to the globalization and changing the consumer demands. So, what is globalization? Globalization means nothing but that generally the basmati variety produces in India majorly and China that will sell into the another market too, like America and other countries, European countries. That is meant globalization, nothing but trade exchange of the goods or import or export of the goods, that we can call it as globalization. So that the thing is here, why the person's government, why majorly initiate these policies? Because of that, one thing, the government keep their mind to improving the productivity and sustainability and farmers income, especially for smallholder farmers. These things actually government kept into their minds and releasing this releasing the initiate the these some modern policies which was integrated the development of all agriculture sectors, like subsectors means agriculture is the major sector. In that subsectors, livestock, nothing but goat rearing, piggery, and buffalo rearing, and dairies, and fisheries, and horticulture, which was maximize the input per unit area, nothing but productivity. Then what is meant by productivity? Productivity means, suppose we have a 1 acre of land and we can divide it into several units, and several units we can take one piece of unit, we can obtain or we will obtain some amount of produce, we can call it as productivity. That is the thing. So that policies will increase the livelihood and also productive rural employment, which was generate the employment in rural people. So this is the introduction part. So again, I repeating, so that here why the policies are started in agriculture sector in India. The main purpose is that to boost grain production or increase agriculture sector and maximize the profits, and which was gives employment and livelihood security too. This is the introduction part. Then what is agriculture? In general, agriculture means field, and cultura means cultivation. This is the thing, nothing but cultivation of land. And what is policy? What the policy means, so anything, any plan of action that taken up by government to achieve specific goals. Again, I repeat, policy means nothing but a plan of action that initiated by the government actually to achieve specific goals. Nothing but example MNRGCE, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Program. This program, this is not relating to agriculture. I was supposed to say that example. Uh, in that, in this program, MNREGC is the program to provide employment to the rural people or 120 days or 200 days, whatever it may be, which gives automatically to better living in a rural areas. And coming to the agricultural policy, agriculture policy is nothing but set of government actions and plans which was aiming to developing the agriculture sector. And again, I repeating that what is an agriculture policy? In majorly agriculture sector is there, and there is some plans and some actions will taken up by the government to increase the productivity and income, food security, and sustainability and rural development. And again, what is productivity? Productivity is a nothing but the produce which comes from the unit of land. We can call it as productivity. That income you already what is food security. Food security means nothing but we have a huge population in our country that is leading to very difficult to supply each and every the food supplies very difficult to supply each and every person. And then this they will maintain the buffer stocks in a government godams according to godam size, and they will later the shortage will occur automatically. That stocks that will maintained by the government will supply through different government channels. That is food security. And sustainability means combination of these things, we can call it as sustainability. Then what are the policies generally present in our India? In that land reform policy, which mainly used for land, and price and marketing policy, and some of the price set up by the government itself, and some of the markets set up by the government. Example, we can take in up some government institutions run markets like mirch markets or jaggery markets or rice markets. These things. That is the that policy will explain these things. And credit and insure policies. You know very well how credit the bankers will sanction to the farmers, and insurance policies there, and water and fertilizer policy, and finally food and trade policy. So these things are generally initiated by government and run by private and public sectors. So that here this is the brief introduction about agriculture policies. Then what are the main objectives? What are the main objectives of agriculture policy? In that, first one is price protection which price protection means nothing but these prices which can save, this was set up by the government, which can save the farmers from crashes in a global market or fluctuations that was occurring during global market. This is nothing but one of the objective. And next one is sustainable resource use. Sustainable resource use means not, this is not a single task. Sustainability means available resources use like water, land, natural resources like trees, leaves, or farmyard manures, whatever the resources that related to environment that we can use to produce the crop, that can be called as sustainable resource. And next one is technology development. You know very well why we need to develop technology, or why the government develop technology to promote cost effective and eco-friendly farming methods. Say for example, what is cost effective? In the agriculture, we planning we plan to sow any crop. Sowing means nothing but artificial, uh, keep the seeds in soil, artificially keep the seeds in soil, nothing but. Then we need to go for tillage. We can go with or we will be go with the in the bullocks, that maybe cost may vary than tractor, and the time consuming too, that is nothing but cost effective. And next one is infrastructure development, you know very well. And next one is food and nutritional security. That food and nutritional security, generally there is a new rice, nothing but golden rice. That golden rice generally have, or golden rice actually has plenty of A vitamin. That is a nutritional security. And support for the small farmers, you know very well, especially dryland farmers who are suffering from the lack of rainfall, and which was frequently occurs crop failures in these lands. And those farmers are generally supported by these policies. And input availability, input means seeds, fertilizers, pesticides, like that. And next one is farm diversification. Farm diversification means nothing but farmer having 1 acre of land, he can take in up with high valuable crops like sugarcane, tobacco, like that. Apart from that, he will maintain small piece of land with horticulture crops and livestock like chickens, chicks. And next one is rural employment, where generally the rural areas lack of employability, and which was gives pressure to the people who are living in the rural areas, and which reduces the employment generation in rural areas automatically, which reduces the pressure. And balance regional growth and public private partnership, and finally free movement of produce. These are the simple objectives in agriculture policies. I think this question is important. And next one is, what is policy and what is planning? Then policy shows what the government want to achieve. Actually, is there any policy that was set up by the government that mainly see uh, achieve, what are the achievement in that? Or like, suppose that government want to start rural employment scheme, that will explain by policy. Then what is planning? That was how they are conducting and achieved finally. That was explained by the planning. Again, I repeat, what is policy? Nothing but what actually government want to achieve. That is the, and second one is what is planning, how it will be achieved. These are the things, these are the two things, planning and policy. The mainly planning is very important. Why the planning is very important? The planning is relating to economic asset or related to some economics aspects, and which was, and generally economic planning, good economic planning which generally use, will use public and private resources by government, and is achieve, will achieve goals. This is the main concept of policy and planning. Then what is the agriculture planning? This is very very important. Then agriculture planning mainly that involves setting up the goals, or involve the setting up the goals agriculture and creating the action plans within the set of time frames, like increasing the productivity, boosting income and employment for small farmers. Here increasing the productivity means nothing but, suppose in the last year farmer gains or got 26 bags of paddy, and now the government create or give a will give a credit to, some money to the farmers through policies which will increase the productivity by chance. Why? How? That means they provide some inputs through policy, that more inputs we can use automatically, that farmer will get more productivity like that. And next one is boosting income and employment for small farmers. And third one is achieving the food self-sufficiency. And again, what is full food self-sufficiency? In general, the food self-sufficiency means how much quantity of food Indians or Indians will need in future or 1 year, that was that much of quantity produced by India itself or Indian farmers itself. That is nothing but food security. That is, we can call it as full food self sufficiency. And next one is promoting sustainable soil and water use and encouraging the crop diversification. Nothing but crop diversification means the farmer will grow two or three two or three crops within the same field. And next one is developing the rain-fed and dryland agriculture. And next one is reducing regional disparities in agriculture growth. And regional disparities means Karnataka and AP and Telangana is there. One person in generally producing same one crop that will produced by the AP also, that will produced by also Telangana too. It will raising the regional disparities in the three states. That will be reduced by these policies in general. The government will provide credit to the farmers in general based upon the regional aspects and regional crops. And next one is policy versus planning. You know what is policy and what is planning. Policy means nothing but it is a direction. Then what we have to achieve or what we have to set. And planning means achieving it or achieved it. Nothing but a road map. Actually, agriculture policy that was initiated by governments of India, which was used in agriculture, but planning the entire policy translate into vision and time bound actions. This is the major difference in a policy and planning and focused on food security. And the next one is World Trade Organization. This is located in Geneva in general. And before joining the World Trade Organization, India have a protective agriculture policies which was restrict the imports and exports to maintain food security. But later, what happened in the WTO will give the some rules and regulations to the India that will liberalize the policies that removing the trade restrictions and encourage the private sector participations. Then one thing, agriculture APMC Act, APMC marketing committee. This was the one of the marketing committee, which was generally in India that APMC directly buying the produce from the farmers and promote it to the contract and corporate farming. These are the main actions that was taken up by the APMC. So that here in the later era, LPG was happened. What is LPG? Liberalization, privatization, globalization. That APMC generally buying the produce from the farmers and directly sell to the or import to the another countries, which is based upon public and private partnership. That public and private partnership for agriculture development, which is too bad in a nowadays, but in the marketing agencies were actually plays a key role to sell the produce. And finally, why we need for sectorial perspective and integration. This is nothing but why we need to integrate entire agriculture and agriculture subsectors. Why? So in this case, we need to we need to integrate, or we will need to integrate these things automatically, which maximize the farm income and better use of land, water, and labor efficiently. These things, and farmer gain more income compared to normal. So generally the farming and animal husbandry and forestry, sericulture, poultry, fisheries and beekeeping, along with the farming, animal husbandry and forestry and sericulture, poultry, fisheries, we integrated these things automatically. Farmer will gain or will gain more income automatically, which increasing the better living standard of Indian farmers. And first one is, what is the two types of sectorial integration, subsector integration within the agriculture. So integration within the agriculture means like food crops is there, cash crops is there, horticulture crops is there, and livestock is there. We need to integrate all these crops automatically, which avoid the risks. And also which increases the income of the farmers, and the policies which support the all subsectors, not only traditions, food grains and sugarcane, which will also support to the another horticulture, livestock, beekeeping, animal husbandry like that, which gives more income to the farmer. And here another thing, high value crops like fruits and vegetables. Generally, that high value crops means like fruits and vegetables, apples are there or oranges are there, which we can call it as a high value crops, which have a more demanding and which gives a more income. But the thing here it is, in Indians entire agriculture sector suffering from or suffered with a lack of storage facilities and processing and marketing support. And due to this, every year the government observes post-harvest losses nearly 5,000 50,000 crores per year. That's why we need planning and policies. And other sectorial means industrial policies and agro processing. These two things, industrial policies or agro processing units, means that reduces the waste and improve the farmer income. Say for example, sugarcane is there. After extracting the sugarcane juice from the sugarcane, the two byproducts obtained from the sugarcane, one is bagasse, and another one is ethanol or molasses which gives ethanol, and bagasse which is used for briquetting, and again ethanol which is used as a biodiesel, you know very well. And why bagasse is used? By bagasse used in coal units which was generating the electricity. So then, so need for agriculture policies integration with other related policies, mainly four or five are there. Why we need to integrate with other? First one is, in that first one is to maintain sustainable growth and productivity in agriculture. This is the main thing we need to integrate with our other policies. First one is, in that first one is environmental and natural resource policies like water resources and forest natural resources, which was maintain the ecological balances. We need to integrate agriculture policies with these things. Automatically nature will be maintained ecologically, which gives more productivity and environmental sustainability. And next one is second one, economic and development policies like trade, labor, credit and transport, agro industries policies, which can integrate with these policies, integrate or combine with agriculture policies, which increases the better marketing access and farmer incomes and better service the delivery to the farmer. And next one is energy policies, nothing but renewable energy. Renewable energy means we can regenerate some energies by using nature like water, air. Example, wind vane is there or wind turbines are there, which can generate the electricity. And bagasse, example, bagasse I already told you, sugarcane, That bagasse is the byproduct of sugarcane and the leftover remnants of the sugarcane after extracting the sugarcane juice, that we can call it as bagasse, which gives 5000 megawatts. And next one is molasses, which can produce ethanol, which is used as a biodiesel. These things is generally practiced in Brazil and USA and balances the food and energy needs like food securities, which gives energy production from the agriculture sector, especially these things which creates new livelihood opportunities or new employment. These are the things. Then what are the instruments that are need in agriculture policy? First one is price support mechanisms for major crops and public procurement of food grain. Procurement means nothing but farmers, they prefer to sell food grains to the government minimum support price, and government will pay the money to the farmers and buy the produce from the farmers. We can call it as procurement. And next one is input subsidies like fertilizer, irrigation. Example, the one urea bag or has that one urea bag has 450 rupees. Generally 1 acre 4 to 5 bags are required in any crop in general sense, but that was provided by government through different channels in a subsidy basis like 250 rupees, 300 rupees. That actual cost is 450, but government will provide 250 or 300 rupees. That we can call it subsidy, input subsidy. Then public investment like agriculture infrastructure. Example, the farmer wants to install one pump, solar pump, or the group of farmers will create one society and request to the government for some equipments. That government will see the all details or plan of the project and provide some investment to the that society people. That is public investment. That tool or that thing will used by all people belongs to that society. And trade policy measures like import and exports, tariffs and state trading, you know very well, and exchange rate adjustment. This exchange rate adjustment will enhances the export competitiveness, which increase income of the farmer. And next one is what are the laws generally that was generally followed in India or national or international. World Trade Organization framed some rules. So that rules generally which eliminate the quantitative restrictions on imports and now primarily used import tariffs. So here the farmer or society or some markets sell the produce or import or export to other countries or import from the other countries, the import some tariffs and money to the produce. that will seen by the WTO within a limits, which is very useful to the farmers. And next one is, now we'll move on to the actual concept, that is a what are the main instrument in that input subsidy. Already I told you that about irrigation or fertilizer, urea example, say for example urea in the outer side there is a 450 per bag, that government will take a initiative and provide these back to the 250 rupees to the farmers. That is input subsidy. And electricity to the farmers, mainly that electricity subsidy will given by the government to the farmers, which can reduce the cost or production cost, which can increase the crop yields and agriculture production and make it to food more affordable for domestic consumers. That can, now that samba mosuri nowadays is the 50 or 60 rupees. Once upon a time that rice 30 rupees. Now the government take a they already took initiated like that, provide that sambar sona masuri to 2 rupees in a in AP especially, like the ration shops which provide or which supply these rice to the farm entire rural area people, and both urban and rural area people in a 2 rupees. But in the outside that is a 60 rupees, right? In a ration shop that is a 2 rupees. That is the more affordable for domestic consumers. That is the sense. And next one is provide inexpensive raw material to the agro industries and enhance the agriculture export. You know very well. And next one is, what are the challenges? Environmental impact and inefficiency and equity concerns and reduced public investment. So these are the challenges. So what is the environmental impact? So that government, suppose take an example, government will provide irrigation subsidy automatically, which can cause overuse of water leading to water logging, and so with increasing the soil salinity automatically crop failures occurs, which increases the productivity of the crop. This is the one thing. And next one is inefficiency. So the inefficiency means fertilizer subsidy often support inefficient fertilizer producers rather than direct benefit farmers. So here the fertilizer provided to the farmers by the government, which was used by some middlemen, which is not benefiting to farmers. And next one is equity corners. That means that India, three types of farmers are there, and first one is small farmers, and next one is medium farmers, and third one is large farmers. By these subsidies, and large farmers are actually benefited rather than small farmers. That is a equity concern. And next one is reduced public investment. So this is already that government actually produces or providing some input, some credit to the farmers, which will taken by farmers, and they cannot invest anything. This is then price support. That first one is minimum support price, that was decided by the government, that price can offered by the government before starting or sowing of the crop, which was due to the, if the market fails, automatically that MSP will work and procure the produce from the farmers. And next one is input output to input ratio. This is not important. Next one is CACP, Commission for Agriculture Cost and Prices. That Commission for Agriculture Cost and Prices generally fix the MSP on various or for various crops. That year. Then challenges mainly crop diversification and fair income distribution. So then Food Corporation of India. This is the another FCI. This is the another government body which will see the uh, which is secure the or which storage the or which procures the produce from the farmers in general. And next one is food subsidy. You know very well that food grains provided through subsidy to the entire India or some consumers. And here it can divide it into consumer subsidy, implicit producer subsidy, and buffer stock subsidy. In the public distributed system like ration shops, we can buy the produce within by using two rupees, like that kilo rice is 2 rupees nowadays in a ration shop compared to other. That is a consumer subsidy and implicit producer subsidy. So that this was arising from the excess cost borne by the government for procurement food from food at MSP. That implicit producer subsidy means the government will procure the produce from the farmers. That is implicit producer subsidy. And then buffer stock subsidy. In that buffer stock subsidy means nothing but they have to storing the food grains with the free of cost in entire India in a godowns. That is a called, the situation may be called buffer stock subsidy. And these are the trends. Once you have to go to then warehouse receipts. So then what about warehouse receipts? So these all things belongs to what is that? These all things belongs to instruments of agriculture policy. And here food subsidy we already know. Then finally warehouse receipts. What is warehouse receipt? If the farmer having mirch output or mirch produce or nearly 8 tons of mirch is there, then farmer want money. Farmer needs urgent money, but he want to refuse to sell his produce. That time what they will do, actually they will store entire these produce in a cold storages. That cold storages provide some receipt. That receipt farmer carry into or forward into banks, and the banks provided some money to the farmers. Again I repeat that farmer having some produce, but he was refuses to sell the produce, and But in this case, he want money. By the time he will store his entire produce into the warehouses, and finally that warehouses provide some receipts to the farmer, and that receipt will take it into the commercial banks and give some, and they're kept in bank itself and provide some money to the farmers. Whenever the farmer high mirchi have raising higher prices, automatically the farmer wants to sell. That time the bank, one of the banker employee will see these things, and whatever the amount that got farmer after selling, automatically what are the amount provided by the bank, that amount will taken up by the bank, and remaining amount will give to the farmer. That is the warehouse receipt. And infrastructure services, nothing but these are the things: irrigation system, land improvement, soil and water conservation, road and transformation. These are the one of the thing, don't worry. Then trade regulations, I think this is the thing already explained in the above. Export subsidies, import duties, this was looked at by World Trade Organization. Then other policy instruments, Land Reform Act, like reform the land tenure system, nothing but redistribute land to achieve specific goals. Example, we'll look it into the example. The first one is Operation Barga in West Bengal. This is the example. These are the reform generally which redistribute the lands to farmers to eliminate poverty, mainly to eliminate poverty and to increase agriculture productivity. And next one is Essential Commodity Act. And next one is Agriculture Produce Market Committee. This market committee generally act and regulate private traders in agri-business companies and agri-business companies in the market, and generally it aims to protect the farmers. And next one is institutional credit, that credit to provide to the farming sector to increase the farming practices. These are the first one. And up to now we'll see the agriculture policy introduction and why we need to go with that, and the why in government initiated this. And next one is take a 2 minutes break. Take a 2 minutes break. Jyoti, take a 2 minutes break. We'll go.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay, and now we'll move on to the agriculture sector goals and agriculture policy options. Jyoti, is there any doubt regarding above lesson?
No, sir. No, sir. Till now, it's okay, sir.
Are you understanding? Are you following to me?
Yeah, yeah, sir.
If you're having any doubt, please ask me
Yeah, sir.
during explaining.
Yeah,
And
sir.
first one is agriculture sector goals and policy options. The self-sufficiency in food. Self-sufficiency in food means nothing but that Indian agriculture policies or which was aimed to increase the food within the boundaries itself and which have has always top priority. Example, by using high yielding varieties, seeds or subsidized fertilizer, irrigation support, by using these things we can or government increases the food and which decreases the food shortage. And next one is apart from that another thing like which can combination of horticulture, floriculture and animal husbandry along with the agriculture which increases the employment and which decreases the prices in a global market, and finally the sustainability will maintain in a villages, and that is nothing but self sufficiency in food means nothing but increasing the food by using several methods in a India which decreases the food shortage. And next one is livelihood security. You know what is livelihood? Where agriculture provides direct employment in rural areas, and mainly three-fifths of the country employed through agriculture. In this, mainly majority of category belongs to small and marginal farmers. Actually, that farmers having low income and always having troubling life that can gain by, and that these things generally uh, farmers are lack of having knowledge and they don't know how to do farming. By this implementation of policies they will taken up life into well-being manner. That is the main livelihood security. In this case, that National Commission on Farmers, which will provide microcredit into the sustainable livelihood and technology market linkages. These are the things generally which was provide to farmer, that credit that provide to the farmers automatically that farmers are will produces the more produce which can sell the produce which gain the income, or they got some other income by implementing which secures the livelihood of the farmers. And next one is income generation. I already told you agriculture sector, non-agriculture sector, these things. And supply of cheap raw material to agro industries. What is the raw material? The raw material is nothing but suppose that one industry produces sugar or jaggery. By these practices, farmer will got more produce automatically. That rates will be the cheaper, and here that in the industries they buy the produce directly from the farmer, and which was used to the processing purposes, and which was decreases the commodity prices automatically. Then next one is multifunctional goal. These are the things you have to read yourself. This is the small thing. Then agriculture subsectors. What is the agriculture subsectors? Like horticulture, nothing but fruits, vegetables, ornamental crops, flowers. So these are the things. What are these things generally? What are the agriculture sector goals and policy options? In that we already saw about self-sufficiency in food, livelihood security, income generation, and supply of cheap raw material to agro industries, and multifunctional goal. And what are the agriculture subsectors like horticulture, livelihood, poultry, agroforestry, fisheries? These are the things you know very well. The little bit you have to read once or twice. And horticulture, livestock, uh, these are the statistics. So what are the main inputs in agriculture? These are the very very important thing. First one is land is a that agriculture policies are generally agriculture policies generally in India, it mainly depends upon these things. First one is inputs. In that land is a main thing in agriculture sector, but nowadays the diversification land was taken up, which was used for non-agriculture purposes. Then the government already took an initiate something for this, and which was used to long-term agriculture viability, and which is used for the agriculture purposes. And next one is seed is the main thing. Hybrid varieties, one of the thing, protection of plant variety and farmers right, PPVFR Act of 2001. With seeds, the farmer or farmer breeders have some rights, which this is the one of the policy which for farmers have a rights generally to maintain the high quality seeds. That suppose farmer accidentally or normally find out some varieties, that government provides some rights to the farmer, only that rights used by farmer itself. So other person will use these things or these seeds. That means that production activity is taken up by the without intimation to the actual farmer. That is the case. That is a PPVFR. We'll see. And next one is fertilizer. You know very well fertilizer. Then farm implements, irrigation. These things are the normal things generally. And another thing is farm credit, Kisan credit card, which is a very very important thing. Kisan credit card means that card provided by the government or banks, which is like a credit card to the farmers. By using these credit cards, they can buy imports, fertilizer, pesticides in any pesticide shop or any fertilizer shop, which might get the risk of farmers out of the risk. And next one is initiative 5 support. This already we'll see that above class, above lesson. And next one is input subsidies, investment in agriculture. This is the thing generally normal thing. And investment means nothing but public investment like irrigation, roads, power, research. These are the things in agriculture generally present, and which was increasing the infrastructure and supposed to the agriculture. That is the investment in agriculture. Then finally, regulations and controls. The Essential Commodity Act one is there, and Agriculture Produce Marketing Committee Act, which restricts the free movement of and marketing of the agriculture goods from one place to another place. And generally these are the two acts which were benefit to the farmers. And the APMC Act generally allow the private sector participation to increase income of the farmers. Then recent policy changes. This is not need central state roles. I think the central government and will take the main key decision like credit, input pricing, research like that, and that central and state government collaboratively will see the what are the things we have to plan to increasing the farming community, that will taken up by the both governments in a specific regions, generally specific areas. So the finally process of policy formulation in agriculture. In that we are looking into the agriculture policy in India, then agriculture sector goals and policy options, and finally we are in agriculture sector goals and process of policy formulation. First one is concept of policy formulation. In that it is a both political and academical process. In that democratic system and elected representative plays a major role to policy decision making, and policy proposal can be implemented through mainly executive orders, debate and approval in a parliament or the legislative assembly, and after approved, the government who are the executives automatically which planning and achieve the goals. Then what are the stages of the policy formulation? The first one is policy formulation process, nothing but stages from the starting to ending. Nothing but policy formulation process means starting to ending procedure and evaluation in that. Then initiators of the policy may be from the politician or bureaucrats or civil society organization and other stockholders. And changing the landscape means like media, education, awareness, and non-government organization and rural stakeholders. These are the nothing but these people who are changing the or planning or influences the policy design and importance of the stakeholder involvement. So this is the nothing but involvement, nothing but. And policy making, what policy formulation, policy making means identifying the issue, setting the objective, designing the option, implementation and evaluation. And policy formulation means same thing, nothing but here policy in action. Here policy in action. Policy making is the different from policy formulation. Policy making means anything. This is the irrigation issue, identifying the irrigation issue and setting the objective and deciding the options and implementation and evaluation. Policy formulation mean policy in action. Basic ingredients mean information and database that was collected from the CSOs, NSSOs, Ministry of Agriculture, RBI. These are the organization, different organizations. What policy that will make into the better thing that will seen by the government? The data was collected from the these people and they will decide. And next one is in-depth analysis on data and presentation. So what are the key aspects? What are the information they need? And various agricultural experts like farmers income, market trends, land use, employment, technology, supplies and science trade. These are the things that generally used for will make a policy. One of the thing will take it into and collect the information regarding these policy, these things. That is the thing, and design the policy. And next one is involvement of actors and stakeholders. Actors means nothing but politicians, civil servants, and expert. Stakeholders means farmers, traders, NGOs. So here, these two people are generally involved to implement these things. And some another apart from these two, another NABARD and FICC and media. These are the persons also involved the this policy implementation. And finally capacity building. So what are the capacity building? So that here that building that to improve the skill and knowledge, the government will provide some trainings to the farmers or something like some pilot project to some areas which gives results automatically that will useful for policies. Again I repeat, generally capacity building means the government will test first as a pilot, then automatically collect the results, and then finally they implement the policies. Then creation of policy networks. You know very well how to design the network. Individual to organization or organization to individual are using like digital platforms. So this is the how the policy network create. Then politics and economics. So economics, that policies will fulfill the entire promises by the politicians and focus on the goals and achieve it. That is the thing. Then resource competitive, that land and labor nothing but, and risks and tariffs. These are the already discussed in above. and coordinate with department and state industries. This is the nothing but the policy after made, that entire bodies will responsible for or involved to spreading of these policies entire nation, and in that politicians are there and so many groups are there and public private coordinations are there, and finally these three or four or five departments will coordinate and implement the policy. So that major steps in policy formulation process, first one is decision on needs, where identifying the problem, setting the goals and objectives and decision decide the methodology, and setting up the goal policy agenda. What is the main policy agenda? Identifying the key issues that they present in agriculture, like water, energy, trade. These things you have to see while setting in the policies, and articulation of vision or statement. Nothing but generally the clear vision covering intersectorial linkages, resource sustainability, institutional reforms, investment priorities, and risk management, support for the farmer and inclusivity. And finally, setting the policy goals like 10 to 15 years, like in that example, improve the farmer income and livelihood, ensure the food and nutrition security, and promote the rural employment. These things generally goals, either long term or short term, depending upon the policy nature. They have to set a goal, particularly some years. And next one is define the objectives. Every policy have a some objectives. Already we discussed in the earlier. And next one is preparation of time schedule and preparation of draft policy document. In the draft, the formula document means nothing but the legal experts help to maintain or draft the policy, and which was bring into the document format, and finally a final version which was approved by the government or government bodies. That is nothing but draft. And the next one is workflow of draft policy preparation, constitution of the core policy group, where workflow means how that workflow in a above approval, above policy approval. So that constitution of the core policy group that was generally headed by that policy headed by the some people, either PM or CM like that or politician. Then formation of working groups, like what is the main focus on this policy, and they are formation the workforce or worker groups depending upon the sector, and consultation process. These things, stakeholder workshop, these are the normal thing procedure. But consultation process based upon the paper based discussion, and these papers are circulated automatically, and workshops are given to the who are interested people, and surveys are taken up. Finally the policy initiated after policy initiated. So these are the things. Finally approval, permanent process, these are the things. What are the good policy in general? That is a inclusive, everyone should involve and effectively utilized by this policy, and open to ideas, and people should have allowed to be share opinions before the policy after made, and based on the facts. What is the good policy in general? These are the things that good policy minimum required. First is inclusiveness, another one is open to ideas and based on facts, and based public participation. That policy will encourage the public participation and connected with the good policy which connect to the other sector too, and solve conflicts which was solve any policy which solve the conflicts. And next one is flexible and ongoing, and next one is everyone should talk about this policy and easy to use. So and this is the good policy. How is a policy made? Ella, how the first, is it really needed? That decided by the government, and what needs to be done? Agenda, nothing but they set the agenda like experts, ministers, officers will set the agenda and create a vision and decide the goals and set the objectives and make a time plan. These are the things generally how is a policy made. And the next one is making a first draft of policy. Already we discussed in earlier. No need to worry. And final step, how the policy is approved. The draft is sent to the ministries, and Ministry of Agriculture is finalized these things, and they're sent to the National Development Council. After approval, that presented in the Parliament, and finally, after approval of the Parliament, then finally published and finally implemented. These are the things generally. Is there any doubt regarding these things? Please ask me questions. Mr.
Not
Jyoti
yet, sir.
Kalita.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, tell me.
No, sir. Till now, it's fine. You have explained very well, sir.
Okay, okay. Then you have any doubt regarding these things, I will send it to you, the PDF or whatever that Word file to you. Neatly you can go through these things.
Okay, sure, 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 sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
These are the PDF files, and another thing, I I made a one Word file to become easier while you are in reading. So I thought this is very easy to you. Want to write any record or something else? Any exam is there?
Pardon, sir.
There is any pattern? This is a record one or examination thing? This
Exam,
class
sir.
exam. Okay, okay.
Yes, sir.
I think there is a few questions are there. I will make into easier, and I will send answers to for the question format. Please drop your mail
Okay, sir.
to my sorry. Please send to one mail. You know already my mail ID Lakshmi Srino K245. Is there any doubts regarding anything regarding our lessons?
Yes,
Please
sir.
drop your message.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.